Oh, there we go. We're live now. Sweet.
Hey.
I thought there was some countdown. All right. So I'm assuming we're probably alone for the first few minutes. So what I'm going to do is, if you guys want to watch this, you can just watch the stream live. I'll introduce you guys in a second. Hopefully we're live now if I click it. Yeah, there's 6 of us on there now. Cool. So I'm going to do my little intro, which I normally do. So for those that are watching on catch up, we've got Oscar and Mike. They are both Panzer aces of mine. And as a perk of becoming a Panzer ace, they get the ability to join a live stream once a month. And also the ability, which we don't really talk about much, but if you do want to do like a private tutorial or whatever, or not tutorial, but just a private chat and stuff, we can do that as well. But I know the time zone differences and that probably made that very difficult. But anyway, getting all that out of the way, Oscar, you've been on here before. Just tell the audience what you've been working on and what you're into and whereabouts you're actually talking to us from.
Well, yeah, as Chris said, I'm Oscar, one of the Panzer races. Usually, and at the moment, and what I paint is mostly the ancient stuff. So like Romans and Vikings and everything before the 1800s. That's usually the path I go to, what I think is funny. And at the moment is I keep on slugging the Punic War. I still have a couple of 1,000 miniatures to paint before I'm done. And at the moment I'm sitting, as I said, I talked to about here before we started, I'm sitting in my backyard in southern Sweden. And it's hot today. It's actually 20 degrees Celsius. So it's really hot for Sweden.
That's not hot, mate. Come on. That's not hot. No, I love it. In your back garden. And Oscar actually turned his camera to show the garden. It looks very nice, mate. I love the setup with as well. You got the bit of sun coming through. That's awesome. And then what about you, Mike? Where are you talking to us from and what are you working on? I'm sure some people will know you're pretty famous on the Empress page at the minute.
A little bit, yeah. I'm based in the UK, so the old England. And working on Arnhem Heroes and Waffen SS. Obviously, they haven't released Arnhem Heroes 3 yet. So it's offensive miniatures that I'm working on. And yeah, just somehow it managed to get quite popular on Empress Miniatures fan site.
Yeah, you did really well, mate. That was that's a really nice one. I think it was just an all-round perfect model because the paint job was fantastic. The basing was really, really nice too. And even the 17-pounder just looked great with the dark primer that you must have put on. And then obviously lightening the colors around it as well. Just really did stand out. So yeah, it's definitely worth, like, you know, it's really good that it's on there. It's great to see.
It's proof that your tutorials work, to be fair. So credit to you as well, mate.
Oh no, you're the one that painted it, mate. I'll just give you some paint ideas, which, to be honest, I steal a lot of them off the interweb anyway. Claim them as my own. So we've got a few people in the chat. Ian's saying hello. Ian's very common on here now. He's a regular, that's for sure. And Massimiliano, hi guys. John, Mikey. As we know, Mikey's a regular on there as a Panzer race as well. He should be on there. He's letting us down. He's prioritizing table building. And John, so Mikey's saying he's got a few more heroes figures for you, Mike, to look at. And,
right. Okay.
Oh no, sorry, not to look at. He's seen some of yours.
Right.
No, sorry, I'm getting this completely wrong. He's seen a couple more Arnhem Heroes free figures. Sorry. So he's got some goss for us. Hopefully we'll share that on the Discord.
Happy days.
Yeah, and John's put, have a load of Empress Miniatures modern figures to paint. Yeah, the modern range Empress figures are lovely. Have you dealt much with them, Oscar? Because I know you've not really shown too much 28mm stuff.
No, when it comes to 28mm, I have a couple of the late Romans from Victrix.
Oh yeah, nice.
But yeah, I have always liked games where you can field massive armies. But I tried to do that for the 30-year war in 28mm, but I realized when I bought almost all of the Swedish side, and I was just calculating how much money it would cost me to buy the Catholic side, I think I was up in like 2,500, 3,000 pounds for that army. So that was when I took the decision to make like 15 mil and smaller. That's my game now.
That's what attracted me to Flames of War as well, was the small scale
Yeah.
aspect of it. What about you, Mike? Have you seen the Victrix stuff, and are you tempted by it, or are you going to stick with offensive miniatures?
It's nice. I've seen that figure, the Panzer Grenadier that you did, and it's stunning.
Thank you.
But to be fair, I prefer metal figures.
And that's a fair point.
It's probably the old fart in me that just I can't get away from metal. To be fair, so Arnhem Heroes 3 is going to be an expensive day. But
because what's your plans? Are you going to go with just SS, or are you going to go with here Luftwaffe? I think the Fallschirmjäger were also around Arnhem, weren't they, or were they too late to the battle?
Yeah, no, I think they had everything there, from sailors to bottle washers. To be fair,
Kriegsmarine.
They threw everybody into it. I'm not so much hung up on Arnhem. It's just late war scenarios. Obviously, I've got my Pegasus Bridge, which doesn't really suit Arnhem. But I mean, the scale at 28 mil, the bridge is massive. So I mean, if I try to do 28 mil Arnhem Bridge, I mean, I'd have to rent a barn, which I think was what Mikey's got planned. With all his gear that he's got, he's going to have to rent a barn.
Yeah, he's crazy, isn't he?
Yeah, he's out there, isn't he? To be fair,
he is.
With his second-hand Jeep sales patter. Shocking.
Jesus, I don't know how he does it. So the guys in the comments, so Mikey's saying that metal all the way, so's Ian, they agree with us. And I think I agree with that one.
Yeah.
What about you, Oscar? Are you into metal with the smaller stuff, or do you prefer the plastics? Like if the epic stuff was metal, would you prefer that, or would you keep with the plastics?
I like both, actually, because I started playing when I started being heavy into miniature gaming. It was for Flames of War, and back then all their stuff was in the tanks was in resin, and all the infantry was in metal. So I started with only painting metal, but I don't know. It's metal has its upsides, and plastic also has its upsides. So both have downsides also. So doesn't really matter to me.
I think I used to really like the resin stuff from Battlefront, especially like the hero figures that they made. Like I think they had like Piper in his tank and all this other stuff. But I remember there used to be a bit of a pain to clean up, and sometimes if you had a really bad resin vehicle, it wasn't nice. So I'm more of a fan of plastic vehicles, but still a fan of metal infantry. So I sort of see what you're saying as well. Like I like both. I like the mixture of both. I'm not so keen on resin vehicles. And I think that's why I didn't grab the resin Jeeps from Empress, because they weren't metal or plastic. I know some of the parts were metal, but a lot of the vehicles were actually, or the chassis was resin from memory.
Yeah.
I think that's what put me off that. But I'm not sure what Warlord Games British Para Jeep is, if that's resin too, or if that's metal or plastic. I don't think it's plastic, actually. I think it's definitely.
I think nowadays they're doing about a 50-50 split. They do a lot of plastic stuff now. They seem to be doing more plastic. They're increasing the range of plastic and diminishing the resin. So whether or not they're going to phase resin out, I don't know.
John's saying that he's not keen on the Warlock Epic. They seem too static. Only one pose. That's why I go Pendraken, I think is how you say that. 10 mil for a mix of poses. I do understand that for sure, John. However, I think Warlord Games are trying to go with the let's put as many figures on the table as we possibly can, and quickly. I think they're easier to paint because you just get one big strip and you can just slap on some paint. You don't have to grab one individually and paint it. That's interesting.
Yeah, and I can also say when it comes to the Warlord Epic, what I was thinking about doing, because I know that there are a Cromarty Forge is a page that do STL prints for printing.
Yes,
and they do 10 mil and 15 mil ancients, and they have I think they're up to 15 different armies at the moment, and they have both strips and monoposes.
Right.
So,
Okay.
so I'm thinking to since you can rescale the 50 mil down a little bit to get it to almost like Warlord scale, and just here and there put in some other poses just to get a little
See,
bit of.
when I measured the Epic Sprue against like a Flames of War model, they're like identical in size. I thought they were 15 mil. I know I think they're tailored. I think they're meant to be like 13 mil, aren't they? But I'm
Yeah,
sure
I
they're
think,
15 mil.
yeah, I think it's like they're supposed to be like 12 and a half, 13, something like that.
Maybe it's the base that I was measuring as well. I'm not too sure what was happening there.
Yeah, because
Um,
I measured my 30-year war epic scale against. There are um, a Polish company that does a game about the Swedish invasion of Poland in the 1600s.
oh, that'd be
So,
cool.
so I have some of those miniatures as well. And I compared the scales. It was not that much of a difference in height, but the epic um, the epic infantry was much thinner. So it looks like obese man versus almost anorexia man.
What's wrong with that?
It was no, it doesn't look good. It was too
No,
much of
no,
it
I bet, yeah.
in bulkiness.
So I think he's put in the comment section probably Resonant Mountain. I think in relation to the Warlord Jeep, I'm hoping. And then Mikey's picked up some Kuba wagons from Foundry, completely metal. Really looking forward to building them up. Yeah, I think metal vehicles are good as well. I'm just a big fan of plastic vehicles now, and I'm really especially those quick build plastic vehicles. And I'm really starting to like some 3D prints that are coming out as well. I wasn't a big fan of 3D prints, but recently I've started to see some really nice 3D print stuff that's coming out. And the fact that they're not just coming out with just like, here's a tiger, they're giving you like a tiger with, I don't know, a tarp on it and some storage on it, and you can have the cupola open or closed. I think that's a really nice thing that 3D printing's bringing us. Have you experienced much with what you're doing, Mike, with your project, 3D print?
Yeah, I mean, I do love the plastic models. Rubicon do a fantastic range of 156, and they brought out a lot of stowage, etc., etc. And yeah, there's some cracking models, but it's like Warlord. With Warlord, you probably lose a bit of the detail, but they've got such a fantastic range of vehicles. You know, and if you want something weird and wonderful, I'm sure that it's out there somewhere.
Yes.
And that seems to be a good thing these days, is just a vast amount of choice.
Yeah, it's really crazy, isn't it? They're just constantly smashing out. I was looking, I think it was on Warlord Games the other day. What was that? There's no point even talking about it now because I forgot what it's called. I've got a model of it in 20 mil. But they even had this one tank that I was like, oh, like it wasn't even a tank, it's like a little truck thing. And just like, you would never have thought that they would have had that because it's so unique, and you know, you wouldn't even think to even take the bloody thing. Yeah, Jane's put hi, so hello Jane, thanks for joining. And John's put, I have a load of metal Pendrake, and I'm really sorry if I'm pronouncing this wrong, and guys, please correct me if I am. Late Romans are paying a load of the, oh god, Melborand, I think that's how you pronounce it, to do. I finished the Bavarians, I know that one. For Blenheim, next is the French. Okay, I think he's replying to Mikey on that one. Mike's asked him a question too. Cool. So it's getting difficult going between the two different scales. I'm going to have to think of something else to talk about. Now, we were talking about airbrushing before, and I think this is a conversation that might be of use to people on here. Alan's put that he loves a mixture of both. So I'm not sure if that's in relation to what we're talking about, or miniatures being plastic and metal. But yeah, airbrushing. So Mikey said that you're just you're actually going to a 4-hour training session. So where is that? Obviously, it's in the UK. It's obviously near where you live, but that's unheard of. Like, I don't hear about that here in Western Australia, for example. So is this somebody that's easy to find if anyone lives in your sort of southern England, I'm assuming.
Yeah, I can't remember the guy's name without looking it up, to be fair, but he's based up near Birmingham, and he's got some work online, etc., etc. And I was just having airbrush woes, getting the paint mixture right. Then the pressure was wrong. Then this was wrong, and it was just driving me potty. And I thought, you know what, this is supposed to be a pleasure, not a chore. So spoke to you about it. Obviously, you sort of recommended trying Tamiya paints, which I did, and that worked perfectly. Hopefully, I'll have something to show for it by the end of the week. But it's one of those things. You almost need to sit down with somebody. If it's not going right, you need to sit down with somebody who knows what they're doing, and they'll point out, right, okay, well, this, because you read about it, it should be mixed the consistency of skimmed milk. Well, what consistency is skimmed milk?
Yeah,
and it's
yeah.
just, and it's just the pressure's not right, and it's just so. Yeah, 4 hours.
So
90
for
quid.
me, that's not too bad. I mean,
It's not bad at all, to be fair.
When you're thinking an hourly rate, that's probably pretty cheap.
To be fair, yeah.
Yeah. So for me, when it comes to airbrushing, and I'll ask Oscar this in a minute, but for me, when it comes to airbrushing, I pretty much only ever set my airbrush to 1 bar or 15 psi. That's pretty much all I ever work on. And that's painting 50 mil and 20 mil. I haven't really done 28 mil work, but I don't think it varies much. And then the paint, I really hate the practice, and it might just be me, but I really hate the practice where people will put thinners and paint into the airbrush and mix it in situ. So mix it in the actual airbrush itself. I don't feel like that gives you a really good mixture. And you can get like a bit too much thinners on the bottom and more paint sitting on the top. And then that's where you get some issues. That's what I found. So I really like to make sure I'm making my mixture up in a palette before I then apply it into the airbrush. I haven't had any issues with that. Obviously, I'm sure there's people out there that are like, no, what are you going on about? I can easily do that. But what about you, Oscar? Have you had much work with airbrushing?
Some. I tried some before when I was painting. Like I tried to use an airbrush on my Flames of War tanks, and
yes,
tried some on like when I painted Warhammer and stuff like that before. But now, since I more tend to paint smaller scales, I don't think an airbrush will do that much for me, other than just base coating.
Yeah, I was going to say, I wonder about if you could airbrush like your Romans, just like airbrush like millions of strips red, and then give them like a lighter red, but then there's nothing you can't really do with a rattle cannon and dry brush, I suppose. It's no point wasting time with an airbrush.
Yeah, that takes away all the fun about painting with it.
Exactly, mate. I remember with airbrushing Flames of War tanks, because they're 15 mil, I used to rip whatever hair I've got left out. And because my airbrush needle and nozzle size was obviously just a bit too big, I couldn't get that really fine camo lines that I really wanted. So I got the 0.15, and I put a lad onto it that's here in Perth with me, and he loves it now because he can get those really fine lines. But again, I've only had success with Tamiya paints using that really fine needle, because if you get a tiny bit of paint build up, you block the nozzle like immediately, and then you just get no paint coming out. I better go through some of these questions. Sorry. So I think your missus joined us, Mike, saying about a quiche.
I did notice.
I put it up on the chat for you. I'm making her feel special. That's awesome. I'm sure my wife's hidden in here as well. She likes to take note of what I'm talking about, just in case I reveal any holiday plans or anything. Ian's put, sometimes large cons like Abdicon have airbrush/classes/tutorial sessions. Oh, okay, we don't have any of that fun stuff here in Western Australia. Ryan's joined us, who is also on the Discord. So thanks for joining, Ryan. Good to see you on here, mate. Mike's put that he desperately wants to learn to airbrush. Hey, you guys, you could meet Mike. Go and do the airbrushing tutorial together. Jeffrey's put Warlord Epic supposedly 13.5 mil, but are bizarrely compatible with some 10 or 12 mil and 50 mil ranges, depending on period, in my experience.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got a few different ranges, so that's probably, spot on. Mikey's saying that your dinner's being sorted. Mike?
Definitely.
Yeah. Nice quiche on this hot day. Although I was watching the cricket, it was raining at one point, so I'm not sure if it's so hot today.
No, not today.
Ryan's put that he uses airbrush for model aircraft airfix kits and for priming miniatures. That's a really good way of using your airbrush. I'll put this one on for you, mate. Your missus saying only if you're nice you can have dinner. That's nice. That's nice. She sounds like my wife.
Yeah.
John's put, I usually run my airbrush at 15 to 20 psi. I mix paint and thinners in the cup, but before I paint, I block end with cloth or rag, then blow air through it. It bubbles back into the cup. So to mix more. Yeah, I do get that. I've seen that used a lot. I normally use that sort of technique when I'm cleaning my airbrush. Like I said, I do prefer doing the palette trick because I like to count the amount of drops I'm putting into the palette. It's craziness, I know, but especially with Tamir, you don't have like here's a German yellow, here's a German red. You have to find the right mixtures to make everything look good. So I can't remember the guy's name, but he's got like the holy grail of Tamiya mixtures on the web somewhere. Mike Starmer or something. Maybe I'm getting that completely wrong. But he says like 1:1:1 ratio. So you have to make sure you're getting that ratio correct. Otherwise you put too much of one color in, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, you want to be making sure that you try and use a palette if you're using Tamiya paints, at least anyway. And then finally, Ryan's put, I want to try drawing with my airbrush in the future. I did see Harder and Steinbeck put out a video of somebody drawing with an airbrush, which just blew my mind because it was so intricate and crazy what they did with that. I don't know how they did it without having a load of blowout and splatter all over the page. But yeah, they don't paint scale models, so we win in that regard. So yeah, did you guys so I don't know what I was going to say there. I've just lost my train of thought. Is there anything you guys want to talk about specifically before I start going off on my tangent?
No, we covered airbrushes. That's my week of woe.
Yeah. So explain to the guys what actually happened. What happened with your airbrush? What made you like go through that moment of like, oh, what's going on?
Well, I was trying a new paint. I've sort of slowly converting from Vallejo over to AK paints.
Which are lacquer based.
Yeah. And I thought
that's where your problem would have been.
Well, the ones I was using were actually water based. And
okay, sorry.
Yeah, and I don't know, I just couldn't get it right. And you go through all the hassle of shading, modulation, and all the rest of it, and then you're trying to paint a camo pattern, and it just chucked paint all over it, and it's just like, oh dear. There was no foul language. Yeah. There was no shouting at the dog. Whatever. Yeah, it's so I kind of when you get to that point, you've got to stop, backtrack. Obviously, talk to yourself, and you sort of suggested Tamiya, and that's what I did. And to be fair, it was like a completely reinvented airbrush. But what the guy's going to do when I go up for the sort of training thing, he said, bring up all your dodgy paints that you're having problems with, and he'll sit down and he'll go through them, how to mix them, etc., etc. So hopefully that'll iron out a few creases. To be fair.
So, all right. So we'll reschedule this for once you've met your met
Guru.
the guru, yeah, and you can teach us all, yeah, because it definitely come in handy. Because I'm like, I just don't want to touch anything else. I did have SMS paints on the channel for a short while, but they're lacquer as well, and they felt really great when I was airbrushing them, but it was the cleanup. It was just, and they dry really quickly.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I also want to ask you, Oscar, whilst I've got you, before I forget, how's the Battle of Cannae coming along? Because aren't you painting like? My missus said you didn't say 10,000 figures. I'm sure you said 10,000 figures. So for the record, can you confirm how many figures you intend to paint?
Yeah, I think that it's around that, because I think okay. I've counted that I have around I think I have around like 900 bases that I'm
Jesus.
supposed to be painted, and every base consists in average in about 10 or 12 miniatures. So yeah, it's around 9 to 15,000 miniatures.
Gee, you are crazy, man. Are you going to be putting them on a bigger base, or are you going to leave them on their generic bases?
No, I've tried. I put on both on the Facebook page and on the Discord. I put out my elephants with the alternate basing, and
Alternate basing for the win. They looked awesome.
Stunning.
yeah, now I tried some Libyan heavy infantry. I've done some Roman horses on the same kind of base, and I really, really like that alternate basing. It looks so more. It doesn't look as cramped. So it's a bit more space in between the units, and it looks so much more realistic.
It's almost like a mini diorama as well, because you had the elephant that was down, and then you had the other ones. You could make a really cool looking, base from that.
Yeah.
Like you said, it makes it feel more real, makes it feel more.
And also, I have too many commanders that like generals and stuff like that, more against how many I was supposed to use in the battle. So I've also done like that. Say on the heavy Libyan infantry, on one of the bases there, I put an extra general just in in pursuit. So it looks like he's going after the formation, just shouting orders.
That's so cool. I suppose you could use some of them for casualty figures as well, like on the just trim off a little bit of whatever makes them in general and just make them look a bit more generic.
I think I will do the same amount of bases per unit as are in the rules, but there will be more miniatures on every base. If you get what I mean.
That makes sense. Yes, I get 100% what you mean. Yeah, that's really that's a
say for
bloody good idea.
Heavy Libyan infantry, there are two bases there are two bases in a unit. But if you look on the warlord kind of basing, it's supposed to be 20 miniatures or 4 strips, so 40 miniatures. But I have put 4 strips on each of my bases, so it'll be 8 strips instead. So it's like double the amount of infantry, but it's the same size of the units when it comes to bases.
Did you get much traction on the Warlord Facebook page for the epics and that? Did you put it on there?
Yeah, I did, but it's like I think it was up to 20 likes or something like that, and then you commented on some. I think it was like 2 or 3 more comments, but nothing more than that.
Mate, that's
harsh.
Mental. Yeah, because it's such a good photo.
Quality.
I thought that was so cool. Yeah.
Yeah, but what I do now is I'm painting all of the elephants, so I have all my elephants ready and based and stuff like that, and I will put up I will do because I found some 3D printed scenery like roads and stream buildings. So I'm thinking about I will paint all my elephants. I will paint some of the buildings or some of the streams, and then put up my my playing mat and make like a
nice shot.
And then take a picture of that and put that up and see if that gets some traction.
Got to, man. I'd be crazy if it didn't. All right, so we've got some more questions and comments in here. So I need to remember where we actually got off to. I think I scrolled way too far up here. So Ryan's saying he's put some more Zulu warriors. I know, obviously, Oscar, it's probably not so much of an interest to you. Please correct me if I'm wrong. I think we've talked about the Zulu wars before. What about you, Mike? Have you considered the Anglo-Zulu war?
I'd keep all my eggs in one basket, I think. But I mean, I was lucky enough 30 odd years ago to visit the battlefields.
You were. We heard about that on Discord. Just give a quick brief for those that are watching.
I mean, 30 odd years ago, just after apartheid finished, I booked a battlefield tour. Basically, it was the Boer War with a bit of Zulu thrown in. But to be fair, we were all there for the Zulu stuff. So we got to do Rorke's Drift, Isandlwana, Labani, which is my email address. So it's we visited quite a few of the battlefields, and we were lucky enough to end up visiting archaeologists there, and I managed to walk away with a shell casing from Isandlwana, which was, you'd never do it these days.
No,
But
thank God
back
you
then,
Mm,
yeah, nobody
that's
sort
so
of
cool.
worried about it. But
Yeah,
yeah,
that's just amazing. Yeah, that's something you would definitely not clear customs with these days. Yeah, and I suppose
no,
it being a battlefield relic as well is probably won't be allowed to be done anymore these days. Yeah, so jealous. I would have loved to have done that. We
yeah,
did go to South Africa, just never went up that way.
yeah. It's a long way, to be fair. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, compared to Australia, it's not quite that far, but yeah, you have to travel a fair bit. I think it was 14-hour flight from the UK,
Yeah,
and then it was like another 2 hours inside South Africa to get up to
because
Natal
it's the
and stuff like.
northeast. Yeah, it's the
Yeah,
northeast
so
of South Africa. Yeah.
yeah,
Okay, so yeah, so jealous. John's put he added some paint and thinner onto the cup with a pipette, so I can judge ratios. Pipette, I think, which
mm,
makes this pretty much what I do anyway. Yeah,
yeah,
in a palette. Tamiya are lacquer paint, are they not? They do have lacquer, but they also have acrylic. So we're talking about the acrylic, so the XF range. I'm not sure
mm,
what the lacquer range is. Actually called the lacquer paints. I think they come in a different pot as well. So the like cylinder pots. I could be completely wrong. I only ever get XF something or another
yeah.
paints, and they're definitely like acrylic. Ryan's put, how's it going with the Romans, which we've just discussed. Oscar, Mike T, can you send us a link to the airbrush chat, please? I'm sure you can put that on Discord or privately, or however you want to do it.
Yeah.
Oscar is on a lifetime mission, says Mikey. You're not wrong there. He's a madman. Our mad Viking. I love it. Absolutely love it. Ryan's put that you're a Legionnaire for life, Oscar, or would you rather be a Carthaginian?
Oh, I'm so torn. I'm so torn because when I
Yeah.
grew up, like they say that boys when they grew up they have 3 stages. First, every boy loves dinosaurs. Then it's pirates, and then it's the Roman legionnaires. But the more I read about the Carthaginian army and the Barcus family, oh, I don't know. I think I'm sliding.
It's amazing what one guy with a vendetta against a certain nation can do, how much
Yeah,
damage he can do. Because I know his family were powerful, but none of them had the skills that he had, the deceptive tactics as well that he had, right?
yeah.
Because was it not his brothers that lost the Iberia or Spain? That whole pretty much lost Spain completely, didn't they?
Kind of, yeah. Because his father first, then his brother-in-law was the caretakers of Iberia, and then when his brother-in-law was murdered, he took over. And when he went into Italy, he left 2 of his brothers in Spain to keep taking care of Spain. But when the Romans became more and more powerful, they had to retreat out of there.
Mm.
And a lot of blood,
I
and a lot of battles also, to be fair.
I remember reading about, and I can't remember what it is called now, but that one where Hannibal ambushed the Romans marching along the lake, and he managed to move his
Yeah,
entire army at
yeah,
night across the mountain or hills, whatever it was, and then
yeah. It
ambush
was
them.
the Lake Trivia.
That's it, Lake Trivia.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to imagine myself in those Legionnaires' like shoes. Imagine how scared you must have been that there's no way out, and you've got the lake to your back, and none of them know how to swim, and you know.
Yeah, and it was really like a really heavy fog on that day also.
Exactly.
So
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
for a couple of hours, because they attacked at night. So for a couple of hours before the battle, they just heard the Carthaginians screaming in the forest around them.
Scary stuff.
Yeah.
That's been a horrible time. Crazy. Right, so going back to the comments, sorry, it was a bit of a sidetrack there, but I just had to get that out there because that's just, I remember thinking at the time, it's crazy. And that's one of many of the ambushes he managed to pull out. So Ryan's saying about Warlord games, base games are not cheap. Yeah, I think they have gone up in price, Warlord stuff, but I think everywhere else. I mean, Flames of War have put their prices up. I think it's just the way. I know AB Eureka Miniatures are worrying because the cost of metal's gone up, so they're going to have to start potentially putting up their prices. So, if there's any AB figure fans in here, they might have a price increase at some point. So, get your AB figures whilst you can at a cheaper rate. They're still really, really well priced, in my opinion. But I think everyone is going to be copying a bit of a price increase. It's the way of the world, right? Ruse put hello to all. Hello, mate. Thanks for joining. Scott Roach, my friend in Canada, has finally managed to join us, which is awesome. Ruse putting that the Carthaginians were the first to use war elephants. I don't know if that's true or not. I'll take it as I'm assuming that like the Indian factions and that weren't.
I would have thought so.
Yeah, it wasn't. Was it Alexander the Great? Didn't he come up against elephants when he was going towards India?
Yeah,
but maybe the first to use war elephants in Italy,
Europe,
which would make a lot of sense. Yeah, in Europe. Ghouls are pretty cool as well for the Romans. Yeah, they're really nice spruce set. Is there something in the rule book for the Gauls to be used separately as an independent nation, or can they only be taken with the Carthaginians or with the Romans as an ally?
I think I don't know because I haven't got the new set they released with the Gauls, but if I recall, they don't have separate rules in the rule book. It's only the Roman and the Carthaginian side.
Yeah, surely I'm assuming that with the Gaul sprue that they've put out, you'd be thinking that this Caesar period will probably be coming into play. So the Caesar.
Oh yeah.
Roman
yes.
Caesars. Yeah. Surely. Yeah.
Say when you look in the base rule book that I have, there are no rules for chariots, and they put out and you get chariots in the new Gaul set.
Oh, okay. Yes, it's got to be coming out soon. Then you think it would be crazy if they didn't. So Scottsport, this would have been the first time the Roman soldiers saw elephants too. I think that would have been a sight. Yes, okay, that makes sense. But he lost pretty much all of his elephants before he even got to Italy, didn't he? I think he only had a couple left. Wasn't it his elephant that survived the journey and a couple?
Yeah, when he started the ascension of the Alps. If I remember correctly, I think he started the journey with 32 elephants, and when he descended the Alps, there were one left.
Because he got into a big battle when he got down, didn't he? Or a skirmish.
He had two large battles with the Gauls before he entered the Alps, and then they were ambushed. I think it was 1 or 2 times in the Alps by the tribes that lived there. And then most of them died of starvation and cold.
I mean, imagine trying to get an elephant that's used to Africa across the Alps. But it's smart thinking, man. That was just like the Germans. Didn't expect it, and they did it. So Scott's also confirming that elephants were being used in Asia way earlier, which is what we suspect. I could have been reading that comment completely wrong as well. He might have just been talking about Europe or from the Italian perspective, or the Roman, sorry, I should say. But going back to the Arnhem heroes, Mikey's he's trying to get it back on the Arnhem stuff. He's always trying to get it back on the Arnhem stuff for good reason, because I love Arnhem too. I'm going to go heavy on the Arnhem Heroes free Kickstarter, as there will be a price rise coming afterwards. So Mike, do you know what you're expecting to see from Arnhem Heroes free? I know they've teased, obviously, Germans. Is there anything specific you want to see? Specific characters, or just more greatness?
Not really. I mean, it's just the quality of the sculpts more than anything. What I've seen so far is awesome. Some of the figures, I wonder whether or not they've got much use in wargaming. Some of the surrendering POWs, the British Paris surrendering. They're more of a novelty thing, I think, than anything else.
Yeah.
No, some decent SS figures, Fallschirmjäger, that kind of thing. Just because of the quality of the sculpt more than anything.
Yeah, exactly. He's so good at getting like historical pictures and putting them into like miniature form. I saw he put a post out on his social page about asking about, do people prefer historically accurate or like just a cool looking figure? So you know, you don't make it as accurate, but you make it look cooler. So that's probably a good question. What do those people in the comments section make of that? And what do you guys reckon? I'm 100% for historical accuracy. I prefer accuracy myself. I'm assuming probably most people that play historical wargaming want historical accuracy over what looks cool. But I could be completely wrong. What do you reckon, Oscar? Are you what do you think of that, especially for ancient period?
Take that again. I was looking at the comments, so I wasn't listening.
Oh, sorry, mate. No. That's all right, mate. Sorry. I don't want you to feel included. It's hard because I'm having to talk about Arnhem heroes and then the ancients. I'm trying to bounce it around. So basically, what I was getting at was, are you more of a historical, if you get your figures, are you more about historical accuracy, or do you like a bit of historical accuracy but make them look cool for the wargaming tabletop?
Well, I have an excellent response to that, actually. When I got my 28mm figures for the 30-year war, I called up the city library in Stockholm and got them, because there are online there are not a lot of written documents about uniforms before. I think it was like in the late 1600s or early 1700s when the Swedish army got the regulated army like uniforms and stuff like that. So it's not a lot of written stuff about what colors and stuff like that. So I called up the city library in Stockholm at the history museum up there in their library, and I got them to to send a copy of a book that exists in one. There are only one book in Sweden, so they send it down to Gothenburg from Stockholm, and I was invited to the library there, go down in the basement and sit on with the white gloves on to look through that book just to see what shades of colors were on the Swedish uniforms.
Okay, so you like historical accuracy. Yeah. That's an amazing response.
Yeah,
that's fantastic. Yeah, I mean, look, when I do mine, I want historical accuracy, but I'd be lying if I said I know a lot about history. Like I know the basics, and there's specific areas where I feel like I know a bit more in than others. And that shows in a lot of my videos. I mean, the video that I've got coming out this weekend, which you guys can see now, for the Americans in the War of Independence, I have no idea. Like, I'm just throwing it. I'm just going by photos I've seen on Google. I don't know anything. Like, I'm still confused if they wear wigs or if it's their natural hair that these guys are wearing and stuff, which apparently is their natural hair. But yeah, but in terms of your miniatures, I feel like you want as much historical accuracy as possible, which then leads me into Scott not Scott, Ian, who's put that he plays bolt action. So what's historical accuracy if you play bolt action? Which is a pretty fair point, but also you need some war game. So perhaps we want historical figures, but maybe a bit more of an artistic license with wargaming when it comes to actually the actual rules. Because otherwise our engagements will probably last about 30 minutes to an hour, and then it will simmer down for a while whilst people recover and get casualties in and stuff. And
I can also add a quick thing. The end to that story about the book covers. It was a really, really anticlimactic end to that one, because I know before that the regiments that was in the Swedish army during the 30-year war was called Swedish yellow, Swedish blue, Swedish green, Swedish white, and that was the color of the uniforms.
They made it so simple for you, but
Yeah,
well, not for you, but you know what I mean.
yeah. So I
Oh
really
no.
overcomplicated the research for that one.
Oh, mate, we do it. We all do it. That's crazy. That's hilarious too. It's gone out of your way. But hey, at least you got to put the white glove on and
Yeah.
look at something that many people
Once,
wouldn't be able to do.
yeah,
Yeah.
once in my life.
Yeah, that's so cool. So Ryan was thinking of the Gladiator film with the Gauls, that iconic intro to Gladiator when they're in the forest and that.
Yeah.
And I
Talking about
believe,
historical accuracy with the
yeah,
gladiator.
yeah, we can't talk about soccer. And I believe there's a movie, I think it's Gladiator, where they took the Zulu chant from Gladiator, from Zulu, from Zulu, and put it in the movie Gladiator. So one of the
Yeah.
noises you hear is actually from Zulu, I think, or it's Lord of the Rings, one or the other. I think it's Zulu. Anyway, it's probably a fun fact that's completely incorrect, so don't use that at your pub quiz or anything.
And
Um,
also the gladiator movie is I destroyed it for myself because
yeah,
I really love the movie, but there is a shot when they are fighting in Colosseum, when one of the chariots tips over, and you still can see the gas canister in the chariot they used to tip it over. And every
it was
time
so
I look
true.
at the movie, yeah, every time I see the movie, that's the only thing I can see because
I
it's
tell
if
you,
you know where to look, it's so obvious.
but my counter to that is I'd rather that than the CGI. When you see movies where it's all just CGI, I
Yeah,
like when you watch Band of Brothers and then you watch like the Pacific, or not so much the Pacific, but like Band of Brothers versus Masters of the Air, where like it's most of it is CGI because you can't have dog fights and stuff. You can't really film proper dog fights and that. It doesn't feel as good as like when you're just seeing acting, like you said, like a gas canister blowing up, blowing up a chariot. Um,
yeah,
but I understand your point because I think I watched a video on somebody saying this scene from the forest at the start is completely historically inaccurate. The way that
oh
the
yeah,
Romans are
oh yeah,
moving, like
yeah,
trebuchet is firing fireballs at the Gauls, and then they're making the Gauls out just to be like maniacs that don't know how to fight because they're just standing in the open. Like, give it to me. Let's shower me with arrows and fire, and I'm still going to come
yeah,
at you.
and
Just jumping in the
also the taking your cavalry into the forest and attack through the forest is not really a good idea at
No,
night.
no. It looks good though for
It looks
cinema.
really cool. Well,
Yeah, makes Russell Crowe look good at least. Anyway, um, so an elephant called Saurus was the only one to survive from 37, I believe, says Scott. I hope I probably pronounced that incorrectly as well,
yeah,
but that's okay, so that's more to our point. Sorry, I'm really behind. I think I'm almost 10 minutes behind on some of these comments. I watched the color version of Theirs Is Glory after you mentioned it. I enjoyed it, seeing real German tanks in a movie. That is a must-watch movie if you're into the Arnhem scene. I only watched it last year and it blew my mind of how amazing a movie could be for 1946 to replicate Arnhem. Even the buildings that are in there are original. I think the church where they meet up at one point is original. It's just so cool. Really worth watching. Scott's saying that he prefers accuracy. That's what Ian's put about bolt action. Mikey has put historic accurate, but happy for some artistic license if required, but based on historical evidence available. Yeah, there you go. Look, a very political point. He should be in politics. Ryan's put the thing is research you can make only go so far with Google. That's very true. Sometimes you have to pay for some good books, or if you're tight ass like me, you just keep to Google and just hope that it's correct. And then get corrected by the more historian viewers on the channel. Bruce put, cool, been in a library to read about those uniforms. So I'm assuming he's in relation to your comment, Oscar. Ryan's put that all of his libraries have closed down. Sorry, I'm just skim reading these now to catch up. John's put historic accuracy is the cool factor. What a fantastic point. Scott, this is why books are key. I have a huge bookcase for this reason. Yeah, I have a bookcase too. I just never read any of the books in it. I just like to make myself feel important. Ryan's put he collects the Osprey books. They're very good source of books. Again, they're pretty cheap as well, easy to get. Mike's put the opening scene from Gladiator isn't too far from me. My granddad was a standby paramedic on set for that. Oh god, that's a small one. That's cool. That would have been amazing to see playing out in the flesh. Ryan's put he never noticed the gas canister part of the scene in Gladiator.
I'll put it up in the Discord so he can see it.
Yeah, definitely. I love seeing those little bloopers. When you see, I'm bringing it back to Zulu because it's like my all-time favorite. Even A Bridge Too Far, you can see the Shermans and see some of the Shermans in the background. They're moving away, and then you can see the wheels of the car underneath the Sherman. So it's just, a Sherman facade, and it's a car driving along. I think in Zulu, they're using Lee Enfield rifles for most of it. So they've got a couple of Martini Henry rifles, but most of them are Lee Enfield rifles and stuff.
And I also think in Gladiator, if they didn't take it out when they released on streaming and stuff like that, but I know in the cinema, in the cinematic version, in the beginning, in the intro scene when he goes to the cavalry and he has his talk before they attack, if I don't remember wrong, I think you can see 3 of the cavalrymen in jeans.
Oh dear, someone got in trouble for that one.
Yeah.
It's a shame, but like Scott's point, it's cinematic, not history. It's true. I'd rather that sort of movie than some of the trash that's been put out there. I haven't even watched the new Napoleon movie because I just got such a terrible write-up. I've just never watched it, and I'm judging by Mike's reaction that it's no good. Or did you, like me, haven't watched it yet?
No, it's one of those things. If you read the sort of write-up on it, it's probably a great movie, but it's not based on a lot of historical fact.
No. Yeah. And unfortunately, the way the world's going at the moment, a lot of it is they try and get political point scoring across and stuff like that. So they tend to move away from the historical accuracy or trying to keep it vaguely historical. That's why when I watched SAS Rogue Heroes, I was a fan of it. But then when you read about like Paddy Mayne, for example, like the way that they're portraying Paddy Mayne in the SAS Rogue Heroes from the BBC, it's like he's some sort of lunatic Irish bloke. And when you actually read about him, he's actually very calculated in the way he does stuff. He's he did have a temper on him, but he wasn't nowhere near as bad as they're making out. And they do like to exaggerate a lot of scenes in that. But I suppose you're trying to appeal to an audience that aren't into history because, we're only a small bunch of viewers. The rest of them are like my mum and dad that don't really give a shit about that sort of period. I mean, they obviously respect the veterans and stuff, but they don't care about movies and stuff in that time period. So Mike has put this really cool documentary online about the filming of Zulu. Lots of great stories from set. Oh, I have to check that out. Maybe link that one, mate. I haven't seen that. John's put, I've got a huge collection of Osprey books, which give you some cool ideas for colours and such. Scott's putting that the Napoleon movie is terrible. So John is putting it's meh. Ian's put Napoleon is the only historical in that there was a guy named Napoleon. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Ryan's put never bothered with it. Bruce put and the movie Patton. Nice that those Germans from the IDF. Yeah, those are like 1960s, 70s World War II movies. Definitely used some interesting tanks. I think the Bridget Remagen was another one. I think I liked that movie when I watched it, but I think some of the vehicles in there were a bit, especially when it comes to Germans. Even A Bridge Too Far, I have no idea what that tank is that drives across the bridge towards the end. It's meant to be a tiger of some sort. It just looks like some weird mesh of something. I have no idea what it is. I'd love to reproduce it because it looks hilarious. Scott's put just a story about him and Josephine. It's not really about his career and what he did. Okay, I don't really know too much about Napoleon, so hopefully that makes a lot of sense to those that do. I'm assuming Josephine was his missus or wife or something. And Patrick's put, hi guys. Hello Patrick, thanks for it. It's a Panzer A stream. You should be on it. You and Marky, you've got a lot of explaining to do. It's a Leopard 1. Okay. That makes sense. A funky-looking Leopard 1. They make Napoleon look less smart and more lucky. We need a really good, talking about Napoleon, like I don't really know too much about the era, but I feel like we need a really good. I loved Master and Commander. I thought that was a fantastic movie. And I think when it comes to historical accuracy, from the little I know about that period and what I've read, that was as close to historical accurate as you could get, minus a few little things. I think they even said with like, when they were shooting the cannons between the ships, you would see the flash before you heard the sound, even in the movies. Which is so the little things like that go a long way. But I was thinking, I really love to see like a Trafalgar. I'm not sure if there is even a movie out on that in that period of history yet. But then there's also other things, like I feel like there needs to be a remake of like a D-Day or from the British perspective. Same with Arnhem again and whatever. What about you guys? I'm assuming Oscar's like, I want to get something related to the Swedish in their prime.
That would be cool, but I think it's too niche for Hollywood to make a movie about it, because it doesn't touch on one of the popular wars or anything American.
Yes, and that's the problem. That's what really grinds my gears with like anything from Tom Hanks when it comes to like Band of Brothers, Master of the Air, I think it was called, and even the Pacific. They're very quick to hate on the other allied nations in terms of like Band of Brothers. You get the scene where you've got, I think it's the Market Garden one, where you've got the British tank and he's like, oh, just there's a tiger around there, blow a hole in the building, and the guy's like, oh no, I can't do that because my orders aren't to unnecessarily destroy property, and I'll piss off so I can go and get killed. Like, and then when you hear historical accounts of that, it's like that never happened. There would never ever would have been that stupid. If somebody's telling you there's a tank there, there's a bloody tank there, so you're going to lay some rounds into wherever it's telling you, or you're going to pull back.
Yeah, I can say one of the movies I've seen. It was not. I have to say before, it was not my choice. It was the kids who wanted to see that movie, but we watched the movie, and at the end I was so pissed at how they portrayed the Germans, and it was Fury.
Oh God, yeah, that's another one of those. I hate.
We have a tank here in this intersection, and then we do waves assault. No, we don't. We walk away, we call in and say, hey, there's a tank there. Come with the airplanes and bomb it.
Yeah. I love the scene where it's like a tiger and he's just like, this Sherman is just, they've got all these Shermans just coming down the hill towards this tiger. I'm like, there's no, I'm not sure. I'm not into armored warfare. I've never been in the army or anything, but I'm assuming that would never happen. But yeah, even like in the Pacific, I think they had a fight with the Australians. The Americans like beat up the Australians. And then in the Master of the Air, I think it was another thing where like the American bomber crew were going up against the British bomber crew and then beating the British bomber crew up. And it's just like, it's just unnecessary digs at, America were fantastic for what they did and their help and that. But so were everyone else, the allies that, no one was, in my opinion, no one was any better, Very easy to say, the US won and the British won and blah, blah, blah. But everyone put in a bloody good effort that was involved, in my opinion, at least anyway. But I'm obviously British, so I have to say that because you can't let the US win every time.
Yeah. And when it comes to war movies and like TV series about war, I listened to a military podcast in Swedish. And they had an episode about war movies, war films, and documentaries and stuff like that. And their take is the best movies about war is made by the losers of that war.
Mm.
So that's why a lot of the German World War II movies are like Das Boot and stuff like that are really, really good because the losers make better movies.
So, all right, let me ask you guys this then, and I'll come back to me. What are your top three? I'll start with mine. What are your top three war movies? If you were to say to somebody, you must watch this, and let's keep it with World War II. So maybe say your top two World War II. Doesn't have to be a movie, it can be a TV series.
Yeah, I mean, if you move away from historically accurate, A Bridge Too Far has got to be up there.
Yeah.
It's just because of the stiff upper lip. We're British. We don't surrender. That kind of mentality. Just for the tank action alone, I'm going to put Fury out there.
Oh, you're one of those.
Yeah, not historically accurate. Nobody walks towards a machine gun unless it's World War One, in which case you do. But the actual tank action, it was a real Tiger tank they used in the film. It's interesting. And number 3, that's a difficult one. That is, and you might have to chew that one over and come back to you on that one.
Have a think about that. What about you, Oscar? Because I'm interested to see your point of view on this one.
Yeah, I'm just see. I forgot the name of the one. I'm just googling the name of one of them, but I have 2 right up on the top of my head, and this Das Boot.
Yeah, that's
and is it Der Untergang?
Okay, I haven't seen that one.
What's the name of in English? Let's see.
Yeah, that would be handy.
Let's see.
So whilst Oscar's finding that, I'll say I agree with you, Mike. I think for me, A Bridge Too Far is up there, but you got to take away the historical accuracy of it.
Yeah.
But it was great to see. I loved the British, the American, and the Dutch all got a really good bit of airtime in there. The civilians, the Dutch civilians, the Brits, and the Americans, rightfully so. Band of Brothers, if for a TV series, is probably my all-time favorite. If I had to pick an all-time favorite, if I didn't know someone, I said, look, watch this war movie or TV series or war movie. If I had said Band of Brothers would be the first thing that rolls off the tongue. Go and watch Band of Brothers. Again, it's not historically accurate from what we would consider, but for Hollywood, I think it's pretty bloody accurate. And it's not full of CGI, and it's not it looks the real deal. You feel like I love the story. There's no love scenes in it. It's all just, this is how they train. I love episode 1 where they're training, and then you go and see them jumping into Normandy and stuff. I think it's a fantastic TV series. So that would be that. And then There's Its Glory. It's got to be number 3 for me now, because I think that's just absolutely superb for a 1946 movie. I think it's just fantastic.
Yeah, I found the name of the third one. It's When Trumpets Fade.
I've heard of that one. I haven't watched it though.
It's really, really good at depicting like that war is not glorious. War is dirty, it's messy, it's depression, it's death. It's really, really dark movie, in my opinion.
Okay, I'll look at. You have to put them in the Discord. I will rattle off some that are being spoken in here. So we've got people saying so Pat just come in. I better go back even before. Fury was great. Hollywood only from Mikey. Oh, Scott Roach has put that there's a really good foreign movie that covers a great Northern War, Sweden and Russia. I can post up its name when I get back home. Okay, that'd be interesting to know.
Yeah.
Mike has put they had a film in the pipeline for Pegasus Bridge. I did see that, but that got canned. That was a few years ago now. Fury was a great Hollywood only. Mikey's put GoldenEye, they use a T-55. The driver is in the wrong side, tracks from a chieftain. Yeah, the things you do for Hollywood. What I can't not see is in A Bridge Too Far, when the plane that drops canisters is shot down. After the explosion, you see the plane flying away just at the tip of the smoke cloud. Classic. Patches put Fury is a crap movie. Sorry, full battalion with SS troops and a Panzers can kill signal fucking Shannon. Scott's put the movie is called The Sovereign Servant. Oscar, if you've heard of that one. Yeah, okay, cool.
But I will look at it.
Check that one out.
Yeah.
So Ruse put in, if there's a tank crossing a road, use airplanes or artillery, which is exactly what Oscar said. Stalingrad's another one we haven't talked about. That was a fantastic movie.
Yeah,
that was
my
a
third
really
one.
good one. Oh, yes, sorry, I was meant to come back to you on that one. Hacksaw Ridge. I wasn't a big fan of Hacksaw Ridge myself. I thought it was a good movie, but I wasn't a big fan of it. As an American, I apologize and would love to appreciate other countries' history. Oh, no, it wasn't a dig at America's involvement, that's for sure. And you guys, America as a nation put in a bloody good effort, as did a lot of other people. I mean, the Pacific alone, you guys lost heaps and heaps of people. Ruse put Fury 2. So Fury's pretty popular. Stalingrad, another one. Cross of Iron, A Bridge Too Far. So Bridge Too Far seems to be up there. Patton, we're just talking about that one. Band of Brothers, Bridge Too Far again. Saving Private Ryan, that's one we haven't heard. That was a good movie as well. The D-Day scene especially, again, not exactly accurate, but the grittiness of it and the loss of life really just get portrayed really well there. But then you see I love when you see on the beach, there's people everywhere and there's death, and then you see the view from the bunkers and there's just like one boat coming in with people coming out of the boat. It's like, okay, didn't have too much CGI in that bit. Pearl Harbor, that was it's a good movie, but again, I think that was more romance. I think they were trying to appeal to the broader audience, not so much war. Well, obviously war, but it's more romance in that one as well. Band of Brothers, Don't Worry, The Last Days in Berlin. Oh, I haven't heard of that one. Bridge on the River Kwai, Bridge Too Far, The Fallen, Stalingrad. Oscar's put its Downfall. I was going to say Downfall. That's another one. Downfall, I thought was a fantastic movie.
Yeah, that was one, the Runtergang. That's its the English name is Downfall.
Oh, okay. The guy that played I probably shouldn't say because I've just said it now. YouTube will probably ban me. But the bloke that played him, he was a fantastic actor. I thought he did such a good job of portraying him in that one. God, I've really it's what I do. I just have to start myself for that one. All Quiet on the Western Front. Yeah, but that's World War One. I think I said World War Two specifically. And I haven't watched the modern All Quiet on the Western Front. I've only ever watched the older version of that because they did do a remake, didn't they?
Yeah, a couple of years ago.
Yeah. John Spot was disappointed with the new Battle of the Bulge movies. I haven't seen any of those. Ian's put The Longest Day. That's another one. I haven't watched that actually. I went to watch it, but it was all in there was no subtitles with the one that I didn't illegally download. And Camera Get Blood. I haven't seen that one. There is a film called Kokoda about the Australians and Japanese fight along the Kokoda Trail toward Port Moresby. It's pretty gritty and shows the viciousness and closeness of jungle war. I do remember that one. I watched that one years ago when I was living out of home, and that was a really good movie. There's very few good Australian World War II movies, and that was one that really, it was good. And on a bit of a budget as well, if I'm not mistaken. And Mike's put Generation War was pretty good. German World War II miniseries. I haven't seen that, but I have heard good things about it. There was a really good one. Now, let me get this right. Was it of the Norwegians at the start of the war? Or was it Norwegians or the Danish? Is the Norwegians, yes.
I think so, yeah.
It's a good film. I haven't seen that one yet. Okay, I'll have to watch that.
And there is also a German miniseries. I can't remember exactly the name, but I think it's like Our Mothers and the Fathers or something like that.
Right, okay. I think that rings a bell. There's one about the end of the war, and I think again is where they're using German POWs to find the mines on the beaches and stuff like that. I haven't seen that one. Enemy at the Gates is another one that's come out on the chat. Yeah, it was a good movie. Again, a bit of romance in there, and a bit far-fetched. I mean, I don't. Was he really that good without iron sights? The guy that there was based off of in those scenes. I'm not too sure. Maybe because that was that Finnish sniper that was like we didn't get like 500 confirmed kills or something ridiculous, and I don't think he had too many scopes. So maybe I'm just I'm a terrible shot, so I'm not one to judge anyway. But that's pretty much. I can't believe we've just been blabbing on about movies. Sorry, that's my bad. Is there anything you guys want to end on? Because we've gone over time. Is there anything you guys want to end on, or ask any questions? Ask the audience anything before we end here. I'll just drop something. So somebody please take over whilst I pick this one up.
Yeah, I saw that Mike put in the chat that Generation Kill is the one that I was talking about.
Ah, right. Yes.
Verfatter is the German name of it.
You're too good. I love all this, giving us both the German name and the English name.
My family comes from Germany, so I picked up some of the German.
Mate, I loved what you put on the Discord server. That's fantastic. And for those that are interested in the Discord, it's a member exclusive thing. So you have to be a member to join. Sorry, I'm not trying to get people to join, I promise. But it's just a member because I've had people reach out to me and say that they want to join Discord. Sorry, what was that, Mike?
It's worth it. It's really
cheers,
good,
mate.
Yeah,
you guys. There's some really good stuff on there and some really good advice. I think Panzer Jim was putting out some AK paint lists as well for some of his SS stuff that he's putting out, which is really
his
good.
work stunning.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
God, he's good, isn't he? Yeah. But all you guys, do you know the crazy thing is, I've got this channel and I've got all of you guys, members and paying and stuff like that. A lot of what you put out is far better than what I can do. So it's testament to yourselves, the work that you do and everything else. I just literally put out pain lists,
You're
so
being too modest.
Awesome.
No, you're being too modest. No.
I seriously believe it.
I'm with Mike on this one.
Yeah, you're being way too modest, mate.
Well, I appreciate it, guys. But honestly, what I see on the Discord, I'm like, I don't even need a channel because you guys are just bloody great, great painters, and a lot of the supporters are. God, the guys are still going with movies. All right, we better end it here, lads. Otherwise, I'm not going to. I've got to get up really early for work. But it's been really good. It's been a really good stream. Really enjoyed it. Yeah, if there's any final thoughts before we wrap it up, feel free to go ahead and say what you want to say.
No, I'm going to give my third movie. I've got to say, Saving Private Ryan.
Right, Saving Private Ryan.
Yeah, that's my third. I think
I thought you were going to come out of nowhere and give us a real random Hollywood hit.
No, the trouble is, most of the films now are so old that it's the Battle of the Bulge, for example. You just sit there and squirm through it now. It's at the time it was fantastic, but nowadays you look at it and think, oh God.
Yeah. What about you, Oscar? You all good, mate, on your end?
Yeah, for now.
Yeah.
And as I said, I'm on 5 weeks vacation, so I'll be joining more if I can.
Absolutely, mate. We'll get another one going in the next few weeks, that's for sure. And we'll get you your Numidian tutorial. It is coming. I've painted it, I've filmed it. Haven't edited it yet, but it will be very quick to edit because there's not much involved in it. So we'll get that one out as quickly as we can. But yeah, all right, guys. Thank you so much for joining. Again, for those that are watching this on catch-up, perhaps you haven't watched the start. These are the Panzer Aces, Oscar and Mike. It's been a pleasure, lads, for joining. Hopefully we'll get a few more on next time. And yeah, I'll end the stream now. You guys can stay in the chat. Actually, everyone look, smile at the camera because I need a thumbnail. So look happy in the thing. All right, we can end it now. All right, so I'm going to end it to the guys. You guys will stay in and we can just end it offline. Thanks again, guys, for joining. I really, really appreciate it. Next one will be with me alone, and we can get back into the good stuff of me just chewing your ear off without any friends to help me not look a fool. All right, guys. See you guys.
Cheers.